Well, hey there, gang. The question isn't whether 2020, this crazy year, has been tough on your relationship. Babe, the question is, how tough has it been on relationships?
This has certainly been a season of struggle. And whether the struggles are coming from outside attacking your relationship or there's problems between you in the relationship, there has been a lot of increase in people asking for help.
So today we're going to give you 5 very specific tips you can use in any struggle in life, but certainly with 2020 and all the things that are going on, now is a really good time to take on some new ideas and some new strategies in order to deal with that. I'm Jim.
And Christy.
Jacobus with YourMarriageMatters.com. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Our work with YourMarriageMatters.com is all dedicated to helping you build a more vibrant, healthy marriage so that we can all experience everything we dreamed of when we said I do. So we're glad to have you here. If you're here and you've been here all along, welcome. Again, you know our hearts. You know that we care about you guys. We want you to have the very best of everything in your relationship. And so I'm really excited about these 5 tips today.
Right. And we have a big announcement.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. If you haven't seen already, we do have a webinar coming up titled Tough Talk for Tough Times. And again, it's going to be 5 very specific strategies to deal with tough times. Not the ones we're covering today. There are going to be 5 other ones, but we're going to be doing it in a webinar format
on Wednesday, October the 7th, starting at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Absolutely. So you can sign up at YourMarriageMatters.com/webinar1, or if you're on our Facebook group, if you're not, go join the Facebook group, or my personal page or Christy's personal page. You'll find a link to register. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I can't be there on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, don't worry about it. We're recording it. If you sign up, we're going to send you a copy of it. And by the way, we don't spam anybody, so if you're worried about giving us your email address, and we're not going to do that. We want to help you with your marriage and with your relationship. So, babe, when I think about these 5 tips that we're going to talk about today, the first one might seem a little unusual to some folks, but the first tip is don't deny that you're struggling. Now, for those of you who don't deny that you're struggling, you're going, do people do that? Yeah, people actually act like nothing's wrong. All right, they'll head in the sand or pie in the sky, one of the two. First thing is be willing to acknowledge we're struggling. All right, we struggled. We had COVID. That was a tough time for us. We've got family that's struggling. We struggle to connect with our grandkids because they're trying to be safe. I mean, there's all kinds of struggles going on out there.
Well, and the other thing is, when you say don't deny, it sometimes means that when people ask you how you're doing, the obligatory answer is fine. Like, we don't want to acknowledge that they are struggling. Every marriage, every relationship goes through seasons of difficulty and seasons of struggle. And if you deny it or just don't admit it, even a lot of times to yourself, you don't have the resources that you need to solve the problems that you have. Absolutely. And so when you say don't deny that you're having problems, because sometimes we can all relate, but don't deny so that you can acknowledge what's going on.
Right. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. And by the way, we're not suggesting you get on Facebook and share all your dirty laundry or anything like that.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. But find somebody you can talk to. I mean, if you need to, reach out to me or Christy or reach out to the two of us. That's what we're here for. We'd be glad to help you. But the first tip is don't deny it, acknowledge it. And in doing so, then you can say, okay, now what am I going to do about it? All right? Now, I love your first tip here. This is one of my favorites. Okay.
Well, I think it's important that we remember in this time of struggle and time of toughness that we be kind. And we hear that a lot, and it's just so quaint to say just be kind. It's more than that. Go out of your way to be kind to other people. Sometimes when we're struggling or we're having a difficult time, it becomes obvious that we need something in our life that's positive. And one of the best things you can do is simply be kind. Kindness should start at home.
Right.
Kindness should be at the safe place. Yeah. It should be at home. But don't forget the importance of doing random acts of kindness for those around you. There can be little things that you do. It can be small gestures that you make to your spouse who you know is struggling. But it can make a big difference. I had somebody the other day who just paid me a compliment about something that I was struggling with, and it made my day. I've had people reach out to me and just see how I was doing. And it's those little things a lot of times that do make a big difference. You can be kind when you'd prefer to be mean. You can be kind when you're under stress. And like I said, it sounds quaint to say, oh, be kind, But it is so important to remember that those around you deserve the best from you. And sometimes it doesn't have to be grandiose gestures. It can be the small stuff.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this as we were prepping for the episode today, we were talking about the whole idea that if you're a naturally kind person and you're really good at it, like Christy is, all right, then you need to double down on your skill set because it comes really easy to you. If you're a moderately kind person, all right, you may go, I don't know if I'm moderately kind or not. Well, bottom line is step your game up. And we were talking about if you're a jackwagon, if you're not a nice person, and by the way, if you're not, you probably don't even realize it. But if you're not a nice person, just try to be kind one time today, all right? And if you can only be kind to your spouse today, then be kind to them. But bottom line is, wherever you fit into that that continuum, step your game up a little bit and be intentional about it. You know, reach out to somebody that you might see is struggling. If you're on Facebook and you see somebody post something that's struggling, you know, you might not just comment on their Facebook page, but send them a direct message. Say, hey, I saw you're struggling with that. I wanted you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. I want you to know if I'm here, if you need help, I'll be here for you. Which kind of takes us to number 3, all right?
Yeah.
So first thing is don't deny it. Second thing is be kind. And then third thing is find a way to serve other people. One of the best things we can do when we're in tough times is go work at a soup kitchen, all right? Go work at the homeless shelter. Make up a whole bunch of sandwiches and take them down underneath the bridge where all the homeless people hang out and share some sandwiches or some toiletries with them or something like that. Be intentional about serving other people. And again, you know, you said that when you said be kind. I hadn't thought about it. It's natural. How about we serve the people that right. we live with first?
Right.
All right. Be a servant to your spouse. Be a servant to your kids. Be a servant to your parents, to your brothers, your sisters, to your neighbor. You know, bake some cookies or something like that. Take them next door to your neighbor and just say, I was thinking about you. Yeah. It's something about being active like that in serving other people that takes our eyes off of what's going on here, all right? And it puts our eyes on helping somebody else. And babe, we've never done that. We've never gone to the soup kitchen or homeless shelter that we didn't come back feeling like we were the luckiest people in the world.
Right.
So I want you to serve others. What are your thoughts about that?
Right. When in this season of struggle, there's so many people out there who need a great deal.
Yeah.
And so you can help alleviate some of the needs, and that in turn should lead some positivity back to you. But the other thing, and you said it again too, and it goes back to what we said about being kind, that can start at home. That can start at home. A lot of times it's a defense mechanism when we're struggling or when we're in the midst of tough times to just kind of hunker down and take care of you. But this serving others can really help out in these tough times for you to really have an increased view of yourself.
Right. Yeah, it's really tempting, and again, quarantine does it naturally for us to isolate ourselves and just kind of get in this little cubby hole and just sort of hunker down, and that's the worst thing we can do. But obviously, we want you to obey all the quarantine rules and everything like that, but to the extent that you can, get outside and go do something for somebody else. All right, now, number 4 is one of my favorites. Always has been, always will be, and that's to learn something new. One of the best things about COVID and quarantine is that we can learn new skills. You can learn to play the guitar. You can learn, we're learning a lot about webinars and things like that. Exactly. Right now we're listening to podcasting about webinars because again, we're getting ready to do our first webinar, Tough Talk for Tough Times, on October 7th at 7 p.m. You can sign up on our Facebook page or yourmarriagematters.com/webinar1. But this has been a great opportunity for, I think, for us to intentionally upgrade our business skills, our personal skills, you know, or just take the time to learn something new. And as long as we're learning, we're living. The moment we stop learning is the moment we start to die, which is something I've shared many, many times. But it gives us a chance to grow rather than, you know, hunker down, isolate, and do all this. Serve others, and then but learn something new and grow, you know, maybe gardening or whatever. So what's something you want to learn right now?
Right. If the struggle is between you can learn new skills of how to cope with relationship stuff.
Watch a podcast.
There you go.
Or a webinar.
So I think a lot of times learning new skills can be things that you want to learn individually, or what do you need to learn as a couple? What do we need to learn to do together? Because maybe the struggles that we're having are stuff that we can collaborate on. and get better at. So when it comes to learning new skills, there's so many things out there that I want to learn. I've recently, because of just our change in our status,
is there a few things to learn around here?
Yeah. But one of the things I've grown to really appreciate and want to learn more about is cooking. And those of you who know me might go, what happened to Christy? Because I was never known for somebody who was very good in the kitchen. So
don't let her kid you. She's great.
So sometimes learning new skills can bring on new opportunities and new enthusiasm for what's going on too. So learn new skills.
Yeah, we were learning an awful lot about Maine up here. Oh my gosh, we went on a fishing trip on Saturday with a great guide, Zach Glidden and everything, up to the Penobscot River. We floated it, fished for smallmouth bass and everything. And what a great learning experience it was. Zach was like this fountain of information. I mean, the things that he knew about it, he had a background in forestry, a background in fish hatcheries and everything, and he just was like this. We learned so much from him in just a short amount of time. It was awesome.
And it was kind of one of those things that not only did we have the experience of fishing in this absolutely gorgeous setting, but it was like having your own personal guide to how life was in Maine.
Yeah.
And I've told people this repeatedly, and this goes to say again, we live in an absolutely beautiful country with amazing people, and to share that day with Zach and to have that opportunity to learn about what life was like growing up in Maine, which is a lot different than growing up in Texas, was just something that was invigorating. We left there, forgot the fish that we caught, but we left there with just a real appreciation for the environment, for nature, but also for the people who call Maine their home. Mainers.
Mainers, yeah. And again, what a great guy that we learned from, which, by the way, just dawned on me while you were saying that. We can combine number 3 and 4, serve others, and learn something new. Go teach something you know.
Yeah.
All right? Because nobody learns more than the teacher does. So take the time to go teach a class somewhere. Do a webinar yourself. Start a podcast. If you want to know how to start a podcast, reach out to us. We'll share with you how to do that. But bottom line is, again, we want to be outwardly focused, not isolated, even though quarantine tends to do that to us. But we want to be outwardly focused and everything. And then, if none of those things work, babe, the last thing on our list we always think is really important to make sure we say is
to seek help.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll hear us say people wait way too long to get help. They try and do it on their own, or they try and do things that might have helped in the past, or they ignore it, or any number of things. So seek help can actually be the simplest of things. Listening to the webinar next weekend. But a lot of times what you're going to need is someone to come alongside you and help as you navigate the difficult waters. In seasons of struggle, one of the things that I think people need to bear in mind is you need to do things differently to help get out of it. What you've done previously might not be the remedy for how to help you with what you're currently going through.
Right.
So seeking help is really important, and like we said, too oftentimes people wait too late, or they don't get the help they need, and they're unhappy for longer than they need to.
Yeah, and again, that could run a really wide continuum. One of the things we always teach here is how important Team Jacobus is. And the way we make Team Jacobus the best it can be is Christy's dedicated to becoming the best version of herself she can be. I'm dedicated to becoming the best version of myself I can be. And we together are dedicated to making Team Jacobus the best version of itself it can be. So it could be something as simple as read a book together, or maybe you need to read a book on boundaries by Cloud or communication or something like that. Maybe it's to subscribe to a podcast. I mean, you're already listening to this one. There are several other great ones out there. Maybe it could be to attend a webinar.
Exactly.
There's a crazy idea. There's a to attend a webinar. You might want to go to a class. You might want to join a Bible study. There's all kinds of things to do. And at the end of the day, you might find a mentor couple, a coach. I coach several people myself. Christy's a counselor. You might need to reach out for professional help, though. It might mean that we need to escalate this to a next level of somebody that really is adept at helping us figure out, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm struggling with. Oh, that's what's going on. Here's some very specific skills and strategies to get better at it. And so seeking help could run a really wide continuum, but if you're not getting where you want to go, don't hesitate to reach out to a professional. I mean, this gal right here is amazing at what she does. I hear her from time to time talking to clients if she's working. Matter of fact, getting ready to start doing some online counseling. I think that's exciting to be doing and everything. So bottom line is, seek help. Again, and it could be a real wide continuum. Become the best version of yourself. Challenge your spouse to do the same, and to become the best version of Team Jacobus or your team you possibly can. So there's 5 things. First thing is, don't deny it's going on. Be kind. Step up your kindness game. I'm going to work on that this week. How does that sound?
Me too.
Okay. Serve others. Find a way to serve other people. Learn something new. And then if all of that's not working for you, do not hesitate. Don't be embarrassed. It actually shows a lot of maturity and courage to reach out and ask for help, whether that means to read a book or a podcast or a webinar or a mentor or to go get professional help. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually shows a lot of maturity, a lot of courage and everything. So with all that said, again, last thing, webinar. All right, Tough Talk for Tough Times on
October the 7th at 7 p.m.
Yeah, we're working on that together. I can say Tough Talk for Tough Times with no problems. Christy can remember the date and time better than I can. So Tough Talk for Tough Times on
October the 7th at 7 p.m.
You can sign up on our Facebook page. You can sign up on either one of our personal pages if you follow us, or you can go to yourmarriagematters.com/webinar1. And you can sign up there. We'd love to have you. If you can't make the live event, don't worry about that. We'll record it and send it out to you immediately upon getting done. Babe, I know this has been tough on a lot of people. I would actually share that because of some of these things up here, we have actually grown in the midst of all of this. Okay. And we believe you guys can too. All right? We believe that you can have everything that you dreamed of when you said I do. So thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll catch you next week, babe. I love you.
Love you too.